Most businesses are losing money today because they simply just don't respond fast enough. They get a website form submission, the lead gets uncontacted, untouched, doesn't get stored into their CRM, and it just sits there. And they either never get followed up with, or they just get a generic response that just kills the conversation. So today I'm going to show you a simple speed to lead system that I built inside of N8N that instantly responds to 100% of your website inbound leads, captures 100% of them into your CRM, and makes sure that not a single lead goes untouched. This system checks whether the person has filled out a form before. If they haven't, it automatically does deep research on their website and summarizes who they are and sends them a personalized email that actually sounds human. And if they book a time on your calendar, it will send them a clean confirmation email so nothing slips through the cracks. As always, I'm going to do a full demo of the system first, and then I'm going to walk through it with you guys node by node so you can understand exactly how I built this system. And then I'm giving you, like I said, the entire template away for free in my free school community, the AI Growth Lab. If you want to build automations just like this one that actually make businesses money, this is a perfect one to study. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so when we load into our N8N, first I'm going to show you exactly how you can import this file into your own N8N. That way you can have it for yourself as we are walking through it together. First thing you need to do is head over to my school community, the AI Growth Lab. You're going to want to head over to the classroom, head into the Builders Vault, and under here, it's going to be called Speed to Lead Volume 2. All you do is you click the link that's going to be below the video. You'll click download, go into your N8N and click the 3 lines on the top right, import from file, and then you're just going to import that file that you just downloaded, and it's going to pop up exactly like this. Two things are going to look a little different. This sticky note here is going to actually have all the links to the necessary resources for you to actually have everything set up for yourself. And then I'm also going to link in or embed the YouTube video that I'm making right now. That way you have it right in front of you while you're actually going through each node and setting it up for yourself. So when you import it first, especially if you have not been too familiar with AI automation or N8N, it's going to look super confusing. But I promise you, when we break it down node by node, it's going to be very easy to understand for you. And you now will not only have a system that you can use in your own business, whether you're trying to run an AI agency or you run an inbound lead service business, you're also going to have a system that you can start offering and making money to other businesses today. All right, so to demo the system, we are going to head over to my AI agency's website called Zankflow, and I'm going to act as a potential client and fill out a form on my website. So if we go ahead and click book my strategy call, and I fill out the form on my website. All right, so we went ahead and filled out the form on the website, just made up name using my email, website, and we just want to automate our content creation. Since we're using the test URL for the webhook that is connected to this form, I'm going to go ahead and listen for a test event. Go ahead and click book my free strategy call. And we can see here our form response came through in the body. So when I go ahead and click this execute workflow, a couple things are going to happen. One, it's going to extract the form data. It's going to separate it into key value pair. It's then going to check and see if I already exist in our CRM, which we use Airtable for our CRM. It's going to check to make sure that, hey, this person hasn't already filled out a form before on our website. In this case, we have not, because we are not in the CRM. It's completely empty. We then are going to perform deep research on the website that the potential client added into the form, which was my own website. We scrape the homepage, we scrape the about page, we summarize all that data, we compose a personalized email and send that personalized email back to the client within 30 seconds. Hence the name Speed to Lead. All right, so let's go ahead and click Execute Workflow. It went down the non-existent path. We scraped the website data. We're summarizing the website data, composing the personalized email, and then without further ado, we send the personalized email right after we just submitted our form, executing that Speed to Lead principle. So if we go ahead and open up the email that we just received, hey Joe, just got your inquiry. Hey Joe, I just got your inquiry that you filled out on our website. I see that you want to automate your content creation. Make sure to grab a time on the calendar if you haven't already. I had a chance to check out Zankflow. Love the integrations you offer that streamline workflows seamlessly. Looking forward to jumping on a call together. If you have any questions prior to the call, email me back here or text me at, and then I have my number blurred out for privacy reasons. The next part of this workflow is if they decide that they want to book their own appointment. So after they submit the form on my website, an embedded Calendly calendar pops up with the availability for them to be able to select their own time that they want to jump on a call. So what's going to happen here is it's going to watch my Gmail for booking emails. So we're going to make sure that the email comes from Calendly, and we're going to make sure it's a booking email. We then are going to convert the time they chose to ISO, which is basically a time format that allows you to add it to Airtable. Don't ask me, it's just something that needed to happen. We then are going to search records that are with the email that they use so we can pull the correct record from our Airtable. and then we update it with the appointment time, and we send an appointment confirmed email to them. So if we look at our CRM, we captured the lead, we added the summary, we added the goals that they want, and now we have these other things here that you can see. We have Zoom meeting, appointment date, and booked. So if they decide to not book their own time, this booked check mark will not be checked, and the appointment date will not be filled in, allowing us to be able to know who is who. Because if you look over here, which I will go through later in the video, we have different views here for leads that have just come in and they're raw, or leads that have been booked. So if we go ahead and click our booked appointments here, that lead now goes away because it is not a booked appointment. So we can filter out leads that have booked calls and ones that haven't for further nurturing sequences. So let's go ahead and let's choose a time on the calendar to show you this part of the system working as well. We're going to choose the 25th at 9 a.m. We have filled out the information for the booking, first name, email, the same email that they used to fill out on the form, and then the phone number. Let's go ahead and click schedule event. So you can see we now just got a you are scheduled. Now, if we go to our executions tab here, you're going to see here in a minute that this is going to start running because our email is watching for that email. All right, so you can see that part of the workflow is now running, and it has succeeded in 4.5 seconds. So let's go ahead and check the email again. Hey Joe, I just got your booking on November 25th, 2025 at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Really looking forward to our call. If you have any questions prior or anything changes, just shoot me a message back here. If we head back into our Airtable CRM, you can see now they have been checked off as booked, and we have the appointment date populated into our CRM. And if you guys decide to jump on a Zoom meeting, you can also check this as well. So we can see here, it watched my email inbox to see someone booked a appointment, check to make sure that the email was from Calendly. It then checked to make sure that the subject was booking email, converted the time, grabbed the record with the email that they used to book the appointment. Then we updated the record with booked, and we also updated it with the appointment time, and then sent them the confirmation booking. Now let's check out the other part of the system. The part of the system where, hey, if somebody fills out another form on our website some time later, we don't want to add them to the CRM again. We want to grab that record and their previous goal and send them a personalized email saying, hey, I seen you fill out a form at this date and time with this goal. Is that still something that you were looking for? Blah, blah, blah. Just kind of letting them know, like, hey, we remember who you are. And then we're also going to notify our team saying, hey, this potential client already filled out a form on our website previously. Here's the information on them. So let's go ahead and click execute workflow, and you should see it go down this path, and we will receive a different kind of personalized email. All right, so that was very, very quick. You can see we now have gotten a different email. Let's go check it out. Hey, Joe, I just got your inquiry, but remember that previously on the date, you had filled out a form where you said we want to automate our content creation. Looking forward to jumping on a call. Go ahead and grab a time on my calendar if you haven't already. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to email me back here. So now that we have done a full demo of the system, let's do a node by node breakdown of the entire system. All right, the first and most important node in this entire system is the webhook. Now, if you don't know anything about a webhook, essentially all it is it is a URL that is out there on the web that can receive data. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to come over to the right side here, because in your template, you're not going to have a webhook because you need to have your own unique webhook. You need to search up webhook and go ahead and add it to the beginning of this workflow. Now, when you open it up, there's going to be a test URL and a production URL. We're going to start with the test URL, and you want to just click the URL to copy it. This is how you are going to program or point the form on your website to this URL, so that way this workflow can receive the data from your form submission. Now, depending on what software or tool you use to host and build your website could depend on how easy it is to actually set this webhook up. I use Lovable. It was so easy to get this set up. All I had to do was I talked to my chat window over here. I pasted in my webhook URL, and I said, make sure when someone submits a form, clicking the book my free strategy call on the form itself, it sends the data to this webhook, and I pasted in the webhook URL. It was that easy. Now, if you use something like Bolt or something completely different that I have no idea on how you actually build and host your own website, ChatGPT, Claude can also help you walk you through, okay, how can I actually get my form to send the data to this webhook that then programs or triggers my N8N backend workflow. So that is absolutely step number one, is actually having your form send the data to your unique webhook. All right, so when we open up the second node, it is a set node. All we are doing is mapping out the body of the form. Now, I'm not sure what the data is going to look like when your form comes through, but the reason why I did this for myself, and mind you, this is completely optional, is because if you see here, I don't need all of this stuff. The only thing I care about is the potential client's responses to the questions on the form. So all I wanted to do is just extract that single field just to make it look cleaner. Not a totally necessary step, but just for me, it made sense. So if we open up the next code node here, is going to run it through a script that basically takes this data here and it separates it into key value pair. That way, each field on the form has its own key along with the value or the response that they responded to each field with on the form. So now you can see we have individual keys here that we can play around with. All right, so the next node here is to check to see if the record already exists. If we open up this Airtable node, which I will already have linked over here, and I will show you exactly how to set up and also copy the Airtable base for yourself. So you have everything for yourself. What's happening here is the email that came through on the form and the company name. We are seeing and returning any leads in our CRM that have this email and have this company name. Now, if we open up the settings here, we have something called always output data turned on. And the reason we have that is because if this doesn't return any data, if this is the first time that this potential client has submitted a form on our website, we don't want the workflow to stop. We want it to go down the new lead route. Let's actually check out the Airtable base first before we move on. So I have it named inbound leads 2 with one singular table called inbound leads. I have two personal views. I have raw leads and I have book. Now the raw leads is going to contain these fields. It's going to be their company name, the first name, their last name, their email, the role in their company, their website URL, the goals, so whatever they responded to on the form with why they're actually submitting a form, the website summary when we actually perform the summary on them, if they've booked an appointment, if they've decided to jump on a Zoom meeting with you, and their appointment date. Now, when this gets switched to booked because they chose a time on the calendar to sit down on a call, it then switches this lead from raw lead to booked appointment so we can see all of our upcoming appointments. Like I said, you'll be able to grab the Airtable base here. I'll have it linked. You'll click it, you'll click duplicate base, and you'll have it all for yourself. Another thing is I show you how to set up the Airtable API. I have the documentation that gives a step-by-step breakdown on how to actually set up your own API for Airtable. So once we go down the new lead route, which is basically saying, does the email exist? In this case, it did not because it was our first time filling out the form on the website. We then go down the new lead path where we do one of the most important things when it comes to a speed to lead system is actually capturing that inbound lead into our CRM automatically. So what we did here is we have the operation on create resource record. We selected the correct base, the correct table, and we mapped out each of the columns with company name, first name, last name, email, role, website, and their goals. The next two nodes here, the next two paths that we go down are an HTTP request node. Now, what this is going to do is actually scrape their website that they added onto the form. So in this case, I added my own agency's website called Zangflow, and we are just scraping the home page itself. And then the next HTTP request node, we actually added the about page because we not only want to scrape a website's homepage, we want to try to get as much information on them as possible and scrape the about page as well. We then are converting all the HTML into Markdown using the simple Markdown node, convert HTML to Markdown. And then we run it through a simple code node here that just cleans up the markdown. You can see here, my website didn't return any data, but when you scrape like a normal website that's not being hosted by like Lovable or something like that, it will actually return data. Like if you were to put instantly.ai or like Amazon, it will actually return data. So we have a different path here down the error path. Is basically letting us know, hey, if their website does not work and we're using the retry on fail here and their website still fails, we don't want to necessarily abandon them as a potential client. Just want to update an Airtable and say, hey, their website wasn't valid or it didn't work, it errored out. And then we go down another node where we send them an email still saying, hey, we got their inquiry, just without like the hyper personalization that we would be able to do if we had their website summary. Continuing on, we put all that data into what's called a merge node, which basically acts as a stop sign, waiting for both paths to finish up before we continue on with the system. So once we get both paths to finish what they're doing, we then send it through what's called an aggregate node. As you can see, there is no data right now because my website didn't return any data, but we want to combine both of these paths into one single item so we can then run our LLM node only one time. Because if we had two separate items here, what's going to happen is it's going to run this once per item. We don't want to run the LLM once per item. We just want to run it once for all the data that we gathered from their website. We then have a system and user prompt here. The system prompt basically saying you are the world's greatest summarizer and writer when it comes to taking in scraped website data, creating the best summary possible to let your boss know more about the new lead. The user prompt is very simple. We're just telling it what to extract, like ratings, reviews, integrations, testimonials, specific features, client names, exact numbers, what they do, basically trying to get anything that would make us be able to form and send a very personalized email to them. Next thing we do is we have an Airtable node here where we basically just add that website summary to our lead. See here, we added the summary. That wasn't really a summary because our website didn't return any data to the lead. So that way, whenever our appointment's coming up and we want to actually get a refresher on what it is that they do, it's right there. The next thing we do is we actually feed all of the data into our personalized email drafter using GBT4o. You will need to set up your own OpenAI account and API, which again on the sticky note, I will have a link to the documentation on how to set it up step by step. The prompt that we're using here is basically telling it, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is the format of the email. We give it a email template that we want it to follow, which you guys will have to customize this prompt for yourselves, for your own company, whatever, your own demo, their demo, whatever, if you're trying to sell it to another business. But I have this kind of tailored to me, saying, hey, I'm the co-founder at Zangflow, saying, hey, I'm the founder at Zangflow. Write a brief, professional, friendly email, rules for the compliments, the writing style that we want to use, the example output that we want them to give. And then the user prompt is just giving them the information that we want to base the email off of. Then once we draft that personalized email, we then want to send it to them, executing that speed to lead principle. Moving on to the next part of the system is the actual booking confirmation email. So you can see here when they decide to pick a time and they fill this information out on Calendly, that's embedded in my website. If you are using Lovable, it's super easy to actually add your own calendar into Lovable. You literally just send the Calendly link that it gives you, and then you just tell Lovable, hey, embed this into my website, and it'll do this for you. So the way I have this set up is when I signed up for Calendly, I used my email that I use for everything, and I have it to where it sends me a booking email, like letting me know that, hey, I just had someone book an appointment on my calendar, and it sends that to my email. So to make it easy is I have a Gmail node here that watches my email every single minute. I'll also have a video and documentation for how to set up all Google APIs. It'll be linked right in here. And when it receives an email, it triggers a workflow every minute. Now that can be a problem because I receive a lot of emails that aren't just booking emails. We have two router nodes here that are configured to only pass through booking emails from Calendly. The first switch node is making sure that the from email is from Calendly notifications at calendly.com, and the other route is saying anything else. If it's anything else, it'll go down this route, the workflow will stop. The next guardrail that we added is we need to make sure the subject of Calendly is new event, because sometimes Calendly will send you promotional emails. We don't want to pass all of them through. We just want ones that are new event in the subject. The next thing we do here is we're using an OpenAI node here to basically convert the time that comes through on the email to something called ISO 8601. The reason we do that is so that way we can map it in Airtable. We then are going to run it through a code node here that basically takes the time and the text here from the form that they had to fill out to be able to book the appointment. So you can see here the time that came through was in this snippet. We were able to extract it into ISO 8601 in this format right here. Then we run that snippet and text through a code node where we just extract the email, using that email to return the record that is associated with that email, so that way we can add the appointment date to the right record. So we grab the record back that has this email. We then update the ISO 8601 time into the appointment time, and then we send them the booking email with the time and their first name. So if we check our lead that just booked the appointment, you can see it change into book. Then we have the actual appointment date that we actually signed up for. Now, for your template, a couple things you're not going to have. Like I said, you're not going to have the webhook here because you do need to set that up yourself. A couple things that you're not going to have as well in the prompts is some of these are geared towards my actual website. So I'm going to put placeholders in the prompts, letting you know where you need to actually tailor it to yourself as well. You're going to need to set up all the APIs, which I'll have linked on how to do that over in the sticky note. You'll have this video right here to go along with you. A couple other things too is I'm going to take off this notified team on Discord because I'm not sure how you talk to your team. It might be Slack, it might be iMessage, it might be email, Telegram. You'll have to configure that yourself. Very easy. You can go over here, you can type in Slack, send messages and everything with Slack, Telegram, and there's so much further you can go with the system. I just wanted to, this is more so tailored for the beginners that just want to get their foot in the door with AI automation. Of course, I can do so many more things like a nurturing follow-up sequence, but this is the, I guess the foundation of a good first AI system to either add into your own business or I guess, pitch to other businesses if you want to start making money as an AI agency, because the deliverables are so easy. You can guarantee that 100% of leads are not only going to be captured into the CRM, but they will be contacted. You get to store appointment dates, you get to sort them and have a clean CRM. You get to view who's an upcoming appointment, who's not, summaries of their website and who they are. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about AI automation. Like I said, go ahead, head over to the free school to actually grab the template itself. Stay tuned for more builds and more templates. We'll see you in the next one.